the luggage tag that knew a city we never visited. The suitcase told me before she did. It was the kind of truth that hides in plain sight, printed in all caps on a red airline tag, VLC Valencia. We have never been to Valencia. We have never even said it out loud together. I picked up the case because the dryer had made its little end-of-world alarm, and the laundry needed to remember it was more than a rumor. The tag blinked at me from the handle like a tongue after a secret. Under the barcode, yesterday's date. Under the date, our surname, spelled right in a font that made promises. I told myself the case was borrowed. I told myself the airline recycled tags and the world believed in second chances. I told myself this was one of those cinematic mistakes where two bags meet cute on a carousel and spend the night in the wrong apartment. When I opened the suitcase, her sweater smelled like citrus pretending to be rain. The lining held the ash of a city I didn't know how to imagine, and a small paper packet of saffron laughed at me in a language that is only color. Valencia, I said to the quiet. There are some words that refuse to be plural. From the kitchen she answered, warm with steam. In here. She had started showering in the dark, telling the mirror she had a migraine and letting the towel be a curtain. When she came into the hallway, she wore my shirt and the composure of a person who believes in posture. She kissed my jaw in the spot that thinks about trains. We practice being good. On Sundays, I iron pillowcases because flat cotton feels like a promise heat can keep. She sleeps with her palms splayed on my ribs like she is taking attendance of my breath. The balcony forgives being too narrow for two chairs by letting us take turns and calling it choreography. When rain comes after midnight, we crack the window and let the city wash its face while we wash each other's. Her knee hooking behind my thigh like a knot sailor's trust, my mouth finding that nickel-bright coin beneath her collarbone where breath confesses it wants to be flame. The apartment smells like basil, damp, and futures we teach to be patient. I held up the tag. Did I go to Spain and forget? I borrowed Paula's case, she said without slowing. She likes stickers. She made coffee loudly enough to be believable. The machine hissed into competence. You're imagining travel again. I'm very good at it, I said. Airports love me. I always pack the right regret. Her laugh could convince a stranger to forgive himself if he wanted to. She poured coffee into the mug that thinks it's mine. The tag hung from my fist like punctuation. We ate eggs and didn't taste them. After, in bed, she crossed her knee behind my thigh and guided my hand under her shirt. We moved with the fluency of people who know their lines and still want the audience to believe them. In the middle, her eyes did that elsewhereing we'd agreed not to notice recently. And when she found me again, she brought apology the way steam brings proof, touching everything without leaving a fingerprint. The tag did not stop being read. Evidence is a hobby for men who are trying not to be brave. The airline app on her phone remembered what she had asked it to. Thanks for flying. Valencia arrival 0113. A confetti animation the color of airports burst across the screen with party manners no one had invited. Rate your journey, it wanted to know. Share your highlights. I closed the app like a door that forgot how to be polite. On the suitcase zipper, a leather pull tab had been replaced by a ribbon, orange with a tiny weave. I wanted to believe it came from a shop. It didn't smell like a shop. In the inner pocket of the case, a small sketch stared up at me, the kind you do on a napkin because the paper wants to be a cathedral if you let it. A bridge, the kind that is built by old cities who know about arches. Two figures beneath, made of lines that wanted to be hands. She had dated it in pencil. The date was the same as the tag's date. The pencil was the same as the one she uses for Sunday crosswords, the brand that tries to be an apology. Paella, she said into the kitchen when I didn't follow her. We could learn. Saffron is patient with amateurs. Who is Milo? I asked. There are names that become questions only when they hit air. A painter, she said, and I believed her because a lie like that knows how to sit. He was there for a residency next to the market. He paints sky like it forgives him. He doesn't use enough water. Most people don't, I said, and pictured him thinning blue until it did what he asked. I pictured her standing behind him with a hand on his wrist, the way you teach a stubborn brush how to behave. The thought felt like I'd swallowed a coin. We were good in stairwells. We met in one when the elevator decided to give a sermon on patience. Stairwells tell the truth, she said, shoes in one hand, grin rehearsed toward trouble. On the landing, she pressed her thumb to the thin place at my wrist and told me to keep still while she memorized me with her mouth. Later, in my bed, she slept with her palm on my ribs like gravity had asked for cosigners. In the morning, I photographed her shoulder in honest light and believed the room had sworn to remember. The app that keeps track of the thermostat congratulated me at 3:11 a.m. for detecting occupancy and switching to comfort mode. Our doorbell camera sent me polite rectangles with confetti edges that read, "Welcome again, Milo," and drew a green box around a jawline confident in being answered. The hotel we have never said out loud sent a mailing with elegant serif, suggesting a seasonal tasting menu that believes in oranges. In my pocket, the airline tag warmed the way plastic does when it thinks it is important. Sunday wanted witnesses. Courage likes even numbers. I asked her brother to come for pasta and invited our friend Nadia, who moves heavy things and refuses to narrate them. I cooked sauce like it might forgive us. The room smelled like garlic telling the truth. We ate and let the laughter carry plates the way horses carry people who think they invented forward. After, I mirrored the doorbell clip to the television without ceremony. The camera did its neat rectangle around a stranger's jaw and wrote a name on air. "We should talk privately," she said immediately. "We will," I said, "but I need people who love us to verify I didn't dream a welcome." They left us to be a room. She scrolled her phone the way people pull thorns. A voice memo blinked at us innocently, 21 seconds of hiss, a laugh, my name folded by a mouth that wasn't mine. The airline app wanted her to rate the seat. The hotel app wanted to show her the chandelier one more time. The luggage tag sat between us, a blood-red bite. "I told myself it was a hallway," she said quietly. "Somewhere I could stand without a tour guide. I liked the echo." "Is he married?" I asked, because bureaucracy sometimes is the only grammar left. "Separating," she said. "A son, 8. "Do you love him?" The word is small until you chair it. She looked at the ceiling crack that looks like a river refusing to choose a mouth. "I love who I am when I stop narrating," she said. "With you, I started describing myself from outside, like I owed footnotes to every heat." He turns the placards around and says he believes the painting without the text. "I loved us like architecture," she added, quiet. "I wanted weather." "We're going to separate," I said. The sentence felt like a key you put on the counter and invite to rust. She nodded with a relief I refused to rename as cruelty. "Do you want me to go now?" "I want the plan on the landing to get its secret back," I said. "Pick a door, I'll take the other." Leaving photographs as fast. Houses leave slowly. She took the hoodie, the charger that fits everything, and the scent that trained the corners to behave. She left the saffron, the sketch of the bridge, and the orange ribbon that had tried to replace metal. At the threshold, she lifted her hand toward my wrist, the old code, and changed her mind midair. The absence landed better than touch would have. "I was happy," she said, "and greedy and afraid and sorry." "You were alive," I said. "So am I." There are stamps for endings. A lawyer whose office smells like old rain and problem-solving asked me if I wanted an outcome or a scene. Outcome, I said, surprising the organ in me that keeps a little theater troupe just in case. Good, she said, and handed me a list that felt like a staircase. At the court, a clerk with a kind mouth taught my surname how to sit beside itself and not flinch. I got the lock retaught. The super handed me a new key with a face that had learned to be surprised only politely. I went down to the plan on the landing and slid the spare into the dirt with 2 fingers like tucking in a child. The pot forgave me. In the kitchen, I poured the saffron into a jar older than this story and read the note it used to be wrapped in, a grocery receipt from a market that has the nerve to be open when everyone honest is sleeping. I looked up a recipe and decided against paella, because some things are allowed to be metaphors and nothing else. Because endings itch, I went where the tag had told me she had been. Valencia was a hot mouth of a city that knew how to be an orange without explaining itself. Bridges shoulder-swept the river like men who hate committee meetings but know how to arrive on time. The studio street was a stripe too narrow for 2 chairs. I could have gone in. I stood across and watched the door behave. I tried to walk everywhere she might have, to breathe at the same corners, to let my shoes learn a city quickly. The effrontery of sun on water convinced me. There are mercies that do not get better if you break them into smaller pieces. At dusk I bought one postcard, blank and arrogant. I wrote wash, lift, leave on the back because she once told me that's how you talk to paper if you want it to forgive you. I did not write an address. I kept it. Home smelled like basil again. I taught the doorbell to forget every face but my mother and the courier who pretends to hate our stairs. The airport app asked whether I wanted to track any upcoming journeys. I told it no. The airline tag lived in a drawer with the cufflink's milky eye and the orange ribbon. They belong to the same family even if they don't share a last name. I iron pillowcases on Sundays because there are rhythms that do not insult you if you keep them. When rain comes after midnight, I still crack the window to hear the city wash its face. Sometimes I sit on the too narrow balcony with both chairs out and let one be empty without inventing who it belongs to. Sometimes I press my thumb to the place on my wrist where the old code lives and answer myself. Here, here, here. The plant keeps its secret. The lock knows my hand. If one day a tag tries to tell me about a city again, I will probably go. I will likely stand under a bridge and let the water name me something other than left or right. I have learned that exits are only maps with better handwriting. I have learned that you can call the space where the water was a kind of sky. I do not know if you can learn a person like that. I know you can learn a key. I put this one in the dish by the door every night and it makes that exact metal sound, the one that says a promise put itself down where it can be found in the morning.